Hi, it's Tracy. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Sales Vitamin. So I have been talking about motivation, follow-up, because I know that you need motivation to get excited about follow-up. Did you know that 99% of all people in sales have call reluctance and fear of the telephone? That's a true fact. But I bet very few would admit it, okay? I admit I used to have it until I developed an awesome system that hopefully you're utilizing that will help you get 5 yes responses from every 1 out of second prospect you speak to and book an appointment. If you're not utilizing that, that is my 5-step phone system. That's on your marketing director in a box. It's in my book, 7 Steps to Successful Selling. I probably need to do a webinar on that system as well. Haven't gotten around to it. I'll make sure I also introduce some steps in my future podcasts. But we need to overcome that fear. And sometimes if you don't have that 5-step phone system, what I want to say is just picking up the phone and making the dials and stimulating those contacts can help you overcome your fear, because where there's activity, there's always success. That's a golden rule. So if you're making calls consistently on a daily basis, that 1 hour a day during your prime calling time, you're going to see success during that hour, and the success will trump the feeling of defeat. You just have to get out there and do it. And that is going to determine your move-ins. I guarantee you, if you take your dials and you increase your number of outbound calls to 100 a week, that's just 20 a day. And think about it, 20 a day, you're probably going to have a 30-40% contact ratio. So if you made 20 a day, you're maybe talking to 8 people a day. Imagine what would happen with that. You would be booking retours, activities, and getting RSVPs to events. And you know as well as I do that when people are coming back in and experiencing your building, engaging with residents and staff, and better understanding the dynamics of your community, they get more comfortable and they're more likely to move. Now, on to what happens when they don't respond. When people aren't responding to you, you really have to get to the bottom of why they're not responding to you. And sometimes, for example, if they're not returning a message and you've been leaving lots of messages, you might want to consider just leaving one that says, "Hey Jack, it's Tracy Build calling. Hey, I just had a quick question for you. If you could you give me a call back at boom," and leave your phone number. It creates curiosity. Sometimes we find sales counselors are leaving such detailed messages that the prospect knows everything they want and they really don't want to call back because they know they're trying to get closed on. So create some curiosity and tell them it's just real quick. You just have to ask them a few quick questions, and could they give you a call, and make sure you leave your phone number. Now, the other thing, if people aren't returning your calls, going forward, I want to make sure that you always get 2 forms of contact to engage with people. I'd like for you to get a phone number, and then their primary number, and then perhaps their cell phone or their email. And when people are there and they're talking to you or on the phone, when we first get their phone number early in the connection sheet, then towards the end, you might want to say, "Hey, is there an alternate number or email I can reach you at? Because I know that people are busy, they're rarely home, and I'm going to have great resources and information I'm going to want to share with you, as you continue your search." And just because they don't give it to you the first time you ask doesn't mean you don't ask for it again when you see or speak to them. That second form of contact is critical to you actually reaching them. Remember, the key to selling is you have to talk to people. What I typically do is I will leave a message, and then I immediately send an email, and I say, "Hey, just want to let you know, I left you a message, wanted to let you know, boom, boom, boom." And in my mind, I'm thinking that this gives them 2 ways to get back with me: phone and email, whatever is their comfort level. And I would say, quite honestly, my email usually is very effective. If I don't get a return call, I get an email. So think about that. And I ask for people's email with the expectation of receiving it. I don't act weird like, "Ooh, I'm so scared to ask." I just ask because I know I'm bringing great value to the people I'm working with, and you are too. So ask with confidence. I've even asked for people's home address, and with many of our corporate clients, they give us their corporate address, and we like to send them things and do things. So I'll say, "Can I get your home address?" And I just make a joke, and I say, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to show up." And they give it. So you need to think about the form of contact. How are you going to reach them? This is very important. Details matter. So Now, if they don't respond to the email, to the phone, and you're in your first 30 days with the lead that you're working, which is probably still that hot phase where they're doing their research, they're looking around, they're making decisions, whether they're letting you know or not, that first 30 days is critical. Remember, most of the sales counselors with your competitors are not following up. It's a fact. You can pretend they are, but they're not. So he who follows up will get the business. So if they're not responding to you, I recommend in week 4 that you red flag the property and that you do a home visit. And you might want to take your nurse with you, or maybe you and your executive director drop by, or somebody. I realize that you might not want to go alone. You can. It's up to you and your comfort level. And I would take something like a great lunch, a snack, a dessert, and just drop by and say, hey, I was passing your house and I thought I'd surprise you with our famous apple pie. Your daughter said you love desserts, or something like that. And then typically they'll invite you in. That gives you a chance to observe their home environment, engage them in conversation. And it's more critical than ever at this point that you ask lots of open-ended questions. You're not there to talk, you're there to learn. You're not there to chit-chat, you're there to understand what is happening in this dear person's life. Now, the home visit absolutely works. I know I've worked with 2 organizations that had over 250 properties each. They had done test studies on the home visit in particular regions. The regions where the home visits were done always spiked in sales without a shadow of a doubt. So again, don't go, well, I don't know, I'm not comfortable with it work. I'm telling you, they work. Just do them, and do them consistently for 30 days, at minimum 2 a week, and you will start to see that the home visit works. So just a few little details and things. I try to keep this podcast at 5 minutes. I know I go a little bit over, so I'm going to wrap this one up, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. Thank you.